understanding the delusion in our life. And this delusion, sometimes there are very lovely delusions, that help, that perhaps, we ignore. I was watching a reality show that happens in India. So this young guy who said, I love this girl so much, and that is why I joined the reality show, to prove that how much I love her. For the society, it appears so exciting. Look at this guy, look at the poor guy who loves so much. So we have a sympathy for them. But that sympathy creates another level of delusion. Delusion simply means what I see is not true, or the way I see is not true. And that is why we have started this Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Moodh Mate Sanprapte Sannahite Kale Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrunna Karne. He said, how long I have to live in this delusion? Delusion with an object, with a person, in our relationship. So there are many factors associated with the delusion in our mind that needs to be corrected. How it should be corrected? By understanding. But understanding should help us realize, to be realized in the mind. And that is why we discussed last session. What we discussed in the last session, the vision of life is bring an end to the suffering. One, an awakening to peace and happiness, permanent peace and happiness. And second is the way of life. If the way of life does not change according to the vision of life, nothing is going to happen. So that guy was selected, there is a music competition, and he was selected. And then the judges said, now is the time to tell that girl, declare it open, I still love you so much. You see, another level of delusion. I don't know whether you are, I believe you are all getting it. The moment I think that the love, peace and happiness are within me, and I have to be a contributor, not to be a consumer of that love, peace and happiness, your mind calms down. You realize where lies the delusion. And that delusion starts from an I thought in the intellect. So normally in modern psychology we have a different explanations of ego, but it's purely technical in Eastern wisdom. That very I thought that limits me, that starts craving for something to be in peace, we say that is our ego. We don't compare it with the modern psychology. Ego, I'm egoistic, no. So in modern psychology, be humble. So we looked at the behavior point of view. We look at, how you behave, that personifies the ego, and opposite of that is non-ego. No, we say I thought in the mind, how it perceives the world, how it attaches to the world. That ego limits me. So first it goes away First we have to understand this, how this I thought perceives in the person what is not true. So that I thought dilutes itself. And when it dilutes itself, delusion, or I have given an example of this, mirage water. So that is what this master says, Bhaj Govindam. You have to return to your senses, you have to return to your awareness. That is the meaning of living in a moment. That is the meaning of the living in a moment. No, let me return. That is what I translated. Remember, recall, relive, Govinda. Govinda, the real self. At the same time, the master clarifies that the intellectual knowledge is not going to save us from the suffering. It has to be realized. That is what I said, vision of the life and the way of life. Vision of the life is clear that the peace and happiness lies in me. Finished. It is within me. So how I have to relate with others? I have to express that peace and happiness to the others in that particular situation, in the event, in our relationship. But why? Why? Because the real self is full of permanent peace and happiness, love and wisdom. There is no other way to live the life but to express this peace and happiness in any given situation, in any relationship. And I'm going to discuss in detail, because I'm going to come. Those verses are coming which will answer clearly the Jerry's sharing her experiences, and also Christina. We have the grand vision of the life all the time, but we have the poorest lifestyle. I have a grand vision, I should live in permanent peace and happiness. And what is the poorest lifestyle? I expected from you, you did not give me. And the delusion will bring you down. You fall into unconsciousness. You start with an habitual, impulsive, instinctive lifestyle. Day before yesterday, this young guy he said that he lived in some other state with her girlfriend for 2 years. Then they are separated. He still calls her. They have a good business, wonderful business, as he told me. So I said, what is the goal of your life? Now, I want peace, love and happiness with her. That's okay. At this young age of hardly 22 and 23, he does not have any goal about his professionalism. So his parents has a lot of money, so there is no problem. So that causes another delusion. At the young age, I have forgotten completely. I'm totally obsessed with that sense of attachment. Think. We have to sit down and think and contemplate. The first verse, I have told you, at the point, there is an appointed time for the death. So the master is warning us that how long we continue to think in a way that causes the delusion in my life. I have to change my lifestyle, the way I think and speak and act in relationship to the world outside. And what is that delusion? I have told you. We lack a good sense. I like a good judgment. In Eastern wisdom, we say just check what is real and what is false. The real remains independent, false depends on the real self. Anything that false depends on the real self. Real does not depend on the false. I say, for example, I became upset with you. So that upset depends on my delusion inside. You did not call me to get upset. You did not send me the SMS message that, whenever I meet you and you should get upset over me. Are you getting it? I believe so. So foolishness, that is one word in English we say. Foolishness leads to the delusion. A foolish person lacks a good sense, acts unwisely, without thinking through the decision. Another point that is very important here. One master says that whenever you are suffering, it is because of your non-thinking. Or thinking wrongly. We always think. No, I love you so much. I fall in love. I don't rise in love. So this is what the master is talking about. Let us go to the second. Moor jahihi dhanagam trishna kurusad buddhim manasi. Let me translate into simple English. When the mind is occupied seeking peace and happiness outside in the world, any issue, you wake up in the morning and the mind is occupied that the peace and happiness is outside. It is because of the delusion. It may be because of some object, some people, some event outside. I married, okay, finished. Then I divorced and I have started thinking again that the peace and happiness lies in a future relationship. I am not learning from my past experiences, so that impulsive nature continues. That is what I say. Days after days, weeks after weeks, we have been doing the same thing and expecting a different result, which is not at all possible. I'm expecting a different result, so I have not changed my lifestyle. When I do not change my lifestyle, I do not live in a higher awareness, because they return again and again. Those thought returns again, and all those thoughts, you have an I-ness attached to it. You look at this person who cheated me. Look at this person I loved so much. He left me or she left me. Oh, you have lot of money, that's why you are living in peace. You see, all those thoughts contains an element of the delusion. It's a very subtler level. The master says, if I simple translation, that I am looking, the moment the mind is looking for peace and happiness outside, it is because of that I thought. That is what we say technically as a ego. So that I thought is limited in its nature. And that limitedness causes the insecurity, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness. Because that I thought is already limited. I have to get rid of this I thought. So what matters important that what is happening inside my mind. is more important than my expectations from the world outside. And what supports? The past memories. Past memories supports us. And these past memories goes on repeating itself. We have a sense of obsession. Just think, sit down every day at least for a few minutes and see what happened today, what made me upset. And you will see, first it is the I thought, second is the expectation from the world outside. That world consists of the people, object, time, place, relationship, and that causes the worries. So I'm frustrated with one event and one person. I'm seeking another person. And I continue to do that. So Master is saying that seeking peace and happiness outside deludes me. Why it deludes me? Because anything outside gives me a pleasure. It's a short-lived pleasure. Or you can say it is a short-lived happiness. Why it is a short-lived? As long as I'm in contact with that person, that object, that food which I enjoy, that gives me a temporary pleasure. You cannot say, no, I have eaten pasta yesterday and I still enjoy it. I bought a car last year and I'm still enjoying it. I bought a dress from, it costed me $500 and still I'm enjoying it. Unless, as long as that object remains in contact with our sense organs and the mind enjoys that, mind seeks the pleasure, mind is consumer, you enjoy that. But what happens? As being repeated use of those objects of the world, you lose the charm. Why you lose the charm? Because it was a delusion. So when we really understand through the reflection, now what happens? The mind is not running anywhere. Mind is simply calm. I need not to control the mind. Mind is so natural. Mind is not running anywhere. Master says we need that natural state of steadiness of the mind. Another point that this verse talks about, the moment I have this I thought, so I thought becomes a consumer of the world, and then it reminds you, it recalls all the past memories, good, bad, high, low. And this I thought again tries to adjust. Okay, now I had problem with this guy, so I will have no problem with another guy. How can you be sure? How can you be sure? So that surety comes that, I still want to be a consumer. So we keep on creating another many layers of the delusion. So in the moment of those deluded moment of the thought and feeling, Master is saying what it is saying, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. At least you remember, you recall, you relive that I am the real self, that I am of the nature of the peace and happiness. We forget it. We forget it's a delusion. from one delusion to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth. And that causes the tiredness and fatigue and anxiety and duality in my daily life. Because it makes my mind restless. That is known as the attachment to anything outside. So what is the opposite of this I thought which causes the delusion? Contentment. But if I don't inquire, that contentment does not come. We cannot simply say, oh, let me have a contentment. Gratitude, it will never come. Unless we inquire, we reflect on it, we drop this I thought, it will never come. Simplicity, it will never come. Peace of mind, it will never happen. I have to contemplate and reflect. Oh, there is a contentment, but internally the mind is constantly haunting me. So that is why Master says, remember, what do you remember? Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Murhamate, Sannihite Kale, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. So the first verse reminds me that at any time I have a fixed time for the death. For me, death is uncertain, but for the existence it is clear. How, where, and when. So if it is really fixed by the existence, and existence has given me this life, so why should I be deluded? That is my choice, whether I can live in delusion or I can live in dispassion. That is my choice, here and now. For example, you have dropped the I thought. You have dropped all the thoughts associated with the delusion. Last point that you need to contemplate and reflect on this. But how to drop this? The I thought comes up again. So that is why we say here is the Govinda. You can have an image of Govinda as a God. Again, what is God? Or we normally say demigod. So what is the difference between the two individuals? One you refer as a God and one you refer as I am. Simple way. Our mind, our master says, this God image always lives in knowledge. It does not have any level of ignorance. So it does not have a delusion. And we are deluded. That is how we merge this I thought with an image of the God. Are you getting it? Just see in another way. We need a support system. I thought has a support system of delusion, duality, conflict. A child needs a support system. Child needs a mother to be supported. A student needs a support system of a teacher. A patient needs a support of a doctor. My deluded mind needs a support of that image or that persona where the peace and happiness is there. So whether you have to see the image, you don't see the image, you simply see, okay, Bhaj Govindam simply means, oh, I want to be into that knowledge and the wisdom all the time. I want to live into that constant awareness of the peace and happiness. I don't know, it is not very subtle, it's not very difficult, but definitely it is a very subtle. So this I thought to be destroyed need a support system. For me, my support system is my master. Every time there are some challenges outside, it starts affecting the mind. I say, Master, you have to take care. Right? I see him as an epitome of the knowledge, beyond the delusion, full of knowledge and peace. Why? We use this tool to get rid of the delusion. And once it is done, finished. Otherwise, this delusion is continue to haunt us. We will definitely get upset, and then we will say, I have been doing this practice for so many years and nothing is happening. Let us start. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. From the very beginning, let us look at. Eyes are closed. You are comfortable. This is also, my friends, this is also, we are looking at the body and the sense organs. So from one delusion to the another level of knowledge and wisdom we are moving. Why we close the eyes? You see, it is a symbolic. What is symbolic? That the real self cannot be found outside. One thing, I thought or this ego gets its working only when it moves out. It has no way that it has to work inside. As you move your mind inside, the I thought or ego starts dissolving. That is a natural way. So I need not to worry about it. I have to consciously move. And that is the meaning of being comfortable. You are comfortable. So I used to say how you become comfortable. Again, you see. So you look at the neck joint, be there, feel the sensation, comfort and steadiness. What I did, I avoided the I thought to do some activity. I simply said, be aware. Look. Looking at someone does not create an ego. Looking means I'm aware. It is a point of non-practice. So if you don't follow this point of non-practice and you have been doing the practice for years together, it will not bring any change. We're going into subtle areas of our journey. Goal is awakening and end of suffering once and for all. So now awareness of the entire body, sensation, comfort and steadiness. And being carefree. Why we use the word carefree? So I have been saying you be aware of these thoughts, unwanted, unwelcome thoughts are coming and going. They are not in fact unwanted thoughts. It is already associated with an I thought. If they are unwanted thoughts, universally applicable, then you should also have the same kind of thoughts which I have. But everyone has a different kind of thought. It is associated with the past impressions. my craving, my delusion. That is why I receive those thoughts. And I don't become aware and I say, this is the way I live, this is my way. That is why I use the word being carefree. But we have been in Mondays and Thursdays meditation. So once those being comfortable and being carefree is very clear to you, anytime and anywhere, then this mantra will definitely work. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. May there be happiness for all. Now you see, the very idea of happiness for everyone at all the time, in all the locations, destroys that I thought. That awareness should prevail doing the mantra. And that naturally brings the sense of contentment. If it is not bringing, then what happens? The goal of the life is too far from the way of life. I believe you are getting it. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. I thought is getting a support system from unwanted thought, and now the same I thought is getting a support system from may there be peace for all. What we are doing, we are not only purifying the mind. Will it happen in a day? No. If we are consistent doing the regular practice, it is bound to happen. It has happened to everyone. We are not conditioning. We are just removing that delusion. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Let there be a completeness in all. Can you say that this is a prayer? Yes, it is a prayer. We already discussed that what exactly is the prayer. Completeness in all, wholeness in all. Real self is complete in itself, but the I thought with the mind says I am incomplete, and that is why I am searching peace and happiness outside. My search of peace and happiness outside only because of sense of incompleteness in me. And as long as there is an I thought, there will definitely be a sense of incompleteness. That sense of incompleteness results into many varieties of insecurities, unhappiness, and dissatisfaction in our life. It prevents the higher consciousness to manifest. You see the purity of the mind? Again I told you. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. That is why I am keeping this mantra, so that you can go deeper into it. Oh, yes, there should be an auspicious. Existence is always auspicious. My interpretation of the situation outside and relating to me. How? Because of the delusion, because of the I thought. No situation chases you, no event chases you. I thought, chase. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Then we move into another extraordinary awareness. You are looking deep inside the forehead in the space, first point of awareness. You keep the body in the state of the steadiness, second point of awareness. While looking inside the forehead, you are dropping Om Shanti with a pause. Om Shanti, recognizing. And then in that state, you are doing the breathing. Do you see that? That is the way of purification of the mind. So start breathing, quick, short, in the gentle breath through the nostrils into the rib cage. Just continue, my friends. You are doing the you see, it's a reflective. First you reflected, and then you are doing the breathing, and you maintain that awareness. The mind is moving inside every time Om Shanti is said, and the breathing continues. That prevents the mind to go out. That stage has to be set in the mind to have a speedier progress. Continue. So you also recognize resistance. You also recognize the change in your experiences. See that? And you endure if the mind says no. Mind wants to go out into the same level of delusion. Continue breathing. It's a rhythmic breathing. You are aware of the resistance or the change in your experiences and the endurance. continue resistance, accepting the changes, and meet the resistance with endurance. That is what, I have been and stop it. First, you recognize the resistance. You also recognize that you applied the endurance, the changes that is taking place, but go back to the breath at the tip of the nose. Become aware of why we just want to make the mind subtle. Become aware of the breath that is going in and out through both the nostrils. And if the flow of the breath from one nostril is less, pay attention there and see that the flow of both the nostrils returns to uniformity, homogeneous awareness from both the nostrils. Endurance plays an important role. So endurance is one part of the journey by which we rise in awareness. And that endurance has been explained in the Western world as a Stoic philosophy. Stoicism, if I'm spelling correctly. It is much more than that. We are enduring as long as the delusion is present. When the delusion is gone, the endurance, we don't need that endurance. Now looking deep inside the forehead again, Om Shanti, and start breathing. Start breathing from the belly. So this time it's a longer breath. Longer breath into the belly, expansion and contraction. Sometime I miss, but I know you remember expansion and contraction of the belly in the second type of the breathing, not the chest. Even the chest movement is there a little bit. So you are still aware inside, recognition, cognitive ability, accepting the changes that is taking place, any resistance. You are enduring that resistance by continuing the breathing, continuing the Om Shanti deep inside your forehead, continuing keeping the body steady. So all those elements works. It's a longer breath. Om Shanti continues. You also find the instant changes, maybe a sensation, vision, colors, body. You feel the body becomes very big or small. What normally we say out of the body experience. We'll talk about that. Continue. Continue. Let a longer breath into the belly. There is another way to understand, that's why I say pointed awareness of Om Shanti inside the forehead. Body is still, except the belly movement. And stop it. So again, we move into a level of awareness by which we recognize the changes, we accept the changes. We also understood that you have endured. There was an endurance during the practice, the mind was objecting to it, and you succeeded in it. And looking at the breath, the flow of the breath, that seems very simple, but it demands a very subtle awareness. The flow of the nostrils from both, if it is not equal, you pay attention which has a less flow. And if you continue, you will recognize that homogeneous flow from both the nostrils goes very deep into the spine, and we will understand why later. First we will experience that. And now the third type of the breathing, looking deep inside the forehead, and Om Shanti, you are dropping. You're not repeating mechanically. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, and then start breathing deep and longer breath from the belly and the rib cage, expansion and the contraction of the belly and the rib cage. You will discover that both the nostrils become totally open, and it becomes very easy for the expulsion of the breath through both the nostrils. It is free flow. Again, we are moving into the same homogeneous flow of the breath. Continue doing it. Continue. Longer, deeper breath, expansion and contraction of the belly and the rib cage during inhalation and exhalation. When both the nostrils have a free flow and you are doing this third breathing, it has unusual experiences in your head. We have to reach there. And stop this resistance, recognition, accepting the changes. You have already experienced the endurance, and then looking at the flow of the breath, which has a less flow. You pay attention there, and if both are equal, continue to pay attention on the flow of the nostril. You know, we are having a cognitive ability that we understand that endurance in this step is required to help the mind to go deeper. So you are consciously understanding. So what happens? You are doing in front of me, and when you are doing the practice regularly on your own, and someday your mind is crazy and you know the power of endurance and recognition, and you get out of that delusion instantly. Not only by this step, but each step can help you. Just check even the flow of the breath and its awareness can also help us to be in the state of self-absorption. We may not need the step of a triangle. Then we can transition into the next higher step in the journey. Just you're looking casually, and at the same time you find a kind of self-absorption, the same experience that you get by the step of a triangle. Now, looking Om Shanti on the 16 segments of a triangle. We are skipping the triangle one today. Om Shanti. Mentally you're dropping. Again, it's a cognitive awareness. If I say that, it's a cognition. Just in a spur of a moment, Om Shanti, first segment, mind's eye, mind's touch, mind's ear, all they work together. So we normally see that if you have deepening of the sensations on these segments of the fingers, means what? You can now channelize the prana. the energy. And when you can channelize this energy, we can redirect this energy anywhere at our will. But at the same time, it helps us to go deeper. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. And there is no resistance at all. Even the thoughts are too far away and you are dropping the Om Shanti. And sometimes the thoughts are not there. So in both the cases, both the possibilities are there and you recognize them. At every step, you understand what you are doing and what is the result. It's very important in any meditation. To avoid any kind of hallucination and imagination. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences, and you have any question, you can say, how are you, David and Jerry?
Well, thank you. That great, as always, great lesson, great message. Starting the fast breathing, I'd never noticed an imbalance in the breath through my nose, and I did, and I just focused on Om Shanti, and at some point it went away. And by the third breathing exercise, vast indigo colors surrounded by bright white lights.
Oh, good.
And then after that, it was I was doing the japa, but it was just really peaceful.
Beautiful, beautiful. You are doing the practice with clear understanding. And today, the first breathing, we did it for 6 minutes.
It went fast too, by the way.
It was. That is it is because of the mind. The mind perceives, oh, it's going usual. Second breathing, we did it for 4 minutes, and third one, we did it for 3 minutes. So sometimes surprise element works. And that's really good. Wonderful, David. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good, thank you. The meditation was really smooth, no resistance, fluidity. I found that word was resonating with the mind a bit, because just through our days, if they're fluid, and those are the days that there's no suffering. It's simple, it's fluid. We're aware, we're accepting. And the days where there's suffering and it's resistance and complicated, then it equals the delusion. So we can look at it pretty simply.
You are pointing a very good. Every day, every moment, we are moving into that state of simplicity, free from the delusion, a state of the calmness and peace I maintain. And the outside world, the situation, events are constantly changing. That is not dictating me. So that means that there is an absence of delusion. We should reach to that state. That is the real meaning of living in a moment. You simply say living in a moment. That doesn't work. How are you, Dennis?
I'm fine, thank you. In the beginning of meditation, there were a couple of points of resistance, but these were endured, and the rest of the meditation was smooth and deep. And I think the absence of the triangle didn't make much of an effect. The mind was during this time when we usually do the triangle, the mind was today thoughtless as after the triangle, and pretty much absorbed inside.
Beautiful. You know that not only for Dennis but for everyone, we have to leave each and every step. Let the time come, including the teacher. You have to leave everything. Why? Because you are already into that state of awareness that is continuous. That is the meaning of living in a moment. That is beautiful way. And you rightly said that, you drop a step, it doesn't affect your state of the mind. It doesn't affect the practice. So normally what happens, we get attached to these steps. But these steps are milestones in a journey. They are not the end. That needs to be clearly understood. How are you, Brandy?
I'm good, thanks. I find the idea of the support system to be really useful, coupled with something you said during the meditation about like when the delusion comes up, being able to address it right away. Yes. And I've noticed that more and more, like if I'm at work or a concert or a grocery store or wherever, something comes up, I just can see it. So I think it's working.
Yes. You got it. That is why I picked up. Mind always needs a support system in the beginning. And when there is a total transformation of the mind does not need any support system. It may need a support system of the God, may need a support system of the teacher, a principle, an idea, all those things. So pay attention to that area also. Some people get absorbed into it. Some people do not talk about it, and you rightly talked about it. How are you, Christina?
Thank you. Interesting that the first breathing was longer, because for the first time I experienced almost, usually Om Shanti goes quickly with the inhale, exhale, and it was at its own pace, much slower, free from the patterned breath.
Free from the pattern. Yeah. So what happens, the time will come, you are doing the breathing even for 6 minutes or 10 minutes, and the mind is able to endure it. Why it is able to endure it? Because there is no delusion in it. So what happens when there is no delusion in it? Then you have different vision in the colors, like David was saying, the indigo color. So that level of delusion is not there. So what is that state where the mind goes very deep inside and absorbed? Why the mind has to go deep inside? Because there is no I thought. Why the I thought should not be there? Because we get rid of the delusion. Why we want to get rid of the delusion? Because we want an awakening. Briefly, I'm just explaining, we will talk about those things. How are you, Barbara?
I'm very good, thank you. The breathing again today seemed very effortless for me, and I was shocked when you said the length that the amount of time that we were doing the breathing exercise, because it seemed to go very, very fast.
Good.
And I too saw a lot of blue light.
Yeah.
But isn't the blue light a form of a hallucination?
Yes, in the beginning. But we check that because of this blueness has come because the mind has gone deeper inside. It does not find any thought to think upon it. So at a deeper level it converts into variety of colors and the visions. So we just accept them, we let them come, we let them go. Yeah, you're right. So at a very subtler and a higher level, definitely what you said is right. But in today's journey, we say it is good. It is a toy to the kid. Oh, this is an airplane. Let us have this plane. This is an aeroplane. We never say that this is a toy. But then nothing except the pure consciousness remains. But if I don't give the support system, it will backfire. So, how are you, Terry?
It helped me achieve some relief from the body, and I like the idea that the God is the knowledge, and the God is in me. That's helpful. I did have resistance, but it was evenly balanced between resistance and success.
Yeah. It comes because of the endurance and resistance and cognition continues. We will also understand that is the beauty of the Eastern wisdom. They have explored each and everything. You use the God as a support system, but never forget that God in you is always full of knowledge. It is devoid of ignorance and delusion. So what happens?
Yeah.
So when you are in delusion, it is you. When you are in peace and happiness, then it is God. So what happens? We use that support system to reach to that higher state of the consciousness. We'll talk about it. We are moving there. How are you, Samir?
Sir, meditation was very deep, and till the end of the meditation, it was Om Shanti all over.
Good.
In my hand, my face, in my stomach, all over my, everywhere it was Om Shanti.
Beautiful.
It was very clear, very loud, and I was able to see also that I can say it.
Very beautiful. I used to give the practices where I used to ask the student to drop Om Shanti to the different parts of the major parts of the body, then the subtle parts of the body, then into every cell. But that also practice comes from the Eastern wisdom. So sometimes what happens, you are doing one practice, but you have a revelation of the other. And that is how it was written, and it was revealed by all these teachers. So that's a beautiful. How are you, Sangeeta?
सर बहुत अच्छा था, बहुत पीसफुल था। सर इनफैक्ट ये जो है वो सिर्फ ओम रह जाता लास्ट में, मतलब
Yes. What she is saying that after at a later stage only Om was left. So it is okay. It is also a part of yoga, provided that we are self-absorbed. Total absorption is there. What does it mean by an absorption? That I thought is not there. We have to get rid of this. Just think for a while. Today you think. If there is no thought of a stress, how can you have a stress? How can you define this stress? The moment you say I have a heaviness in the head, you have already defined it. You don't explain the heaviness in my head. You are explaining heaviness in your head. So indirectly it is I thought. Are you getting it? Now we'll get there. So that I thought is so deeply conditioned in our mind, and that is what the ego. How are you show? Namaste, sir.
I am good and fine, and meditation was very good. And जैसे जब ध्यान के दिए को जलाए रखने के लिए सपोर्टिंग सिस्टम की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है ना, so I understood like this one.
Beautiful. What he is saying that to lit a candle and keep the flame intact, we need some support system. The wax is there. So he is using that simile, that metaphor. So obviously we need some support system. If you say I thought, I must destroy the I thought, you cannot destroy the I thought. So I thought should be sublimated by a support system. Wonderful. I'm so happy. That is all for today. We will meet again in our next session to take care of another delusion. Namaste. Govindam bhaj Govindam, Govindam bhaj murdhamate, samprapte sannahite kale, nahi rakshati dukranna karne. How many times you remember last week? Don't you see I am awfully busy? I don't have time to remember all these crazy stuff. That is why you are crazy. Because you don't remember these crazy stuff. Bhaj Govindam. Appointed time of the death is clear. I just remember, that's a wonderful way to explain this delusion. So to remove the delusion, I have to place my mind where the delusion is not. Where I have to place my mind? Bhaj Govindam. But if I want to find the solution of a delusion in a delusion, it is not possible. In one of this session, I enjoy, that is the way we enjoy. I am 100% clear that I am not the body. What was her second statement? I have lot of pain in the body. I am suffering. It is not Bhaj Govinda. When I am not the body, that is an understanding in the intellect, follows by I have to purify the mind by the practice, I have to change my behavior and attitude, I have to absorb into the meditation, then the realization comes. Even pain belongs to the body. That is why I am not the body. That is the journey. We take it casually, I know, sir, I am 100% clear I am not the body. And your second statement proves it false. And you claim that you have reached to that state. That is why the consistent listening and learning. Because you get rid of those delusion. You see how the delusion catches you at any point of time? This is one example. Sorry. So intellectual understanding is one. In between there is a big gap until the realization takes place. In between that gap, I have to fill that gap. It may come today. It may not come for 10 years. Why? Because every time you catch one part of the delusion, so that is why we suffer. That is why they remember, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate. So what the master is saying, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, O fool mind. I'm not saying anyone fool, don't get upset, otherwise sometimes people start fighting. How dare you say I am fool? So some people realize it very fast after a few sessions, depending on their past impressions, a constant self-effort and a regular practice. Now did you understand? Understanding and the intellect and the realization is here. I have to fill this gap. And this gap should be filled with a constant and consistent effort. Thank you. I must thank you all because you give me an opportunity to keep my mind on the track. My teaching is my learning. Intellect says I know and I understand. Mind says I'm not interested in your understanding. Are you getting it? I will do what I have been doing habitually, mechanically and impulsively. That is why I forget Bhaj Govindam. So I am already ready to fall into delusion. So the blame, complaint game will continue. Intellect says I know I am the body. I told you. But mind says I have a lot of pain in the head and the knees. So there's a big gap between the intellectual understanding and the realization. I believe you all are getting. We all are seekers. Now we have not to leave the journey. No, choice is yours, Now see, I'm introducing another principle. Simply we have to pay attention. Paying attention means listening and learning, repeat listening and learning, contemplation and reflection and practice. Do you accept childhood? Say yes. I was born. Do you accept youth? Yes. Do you accept old age? No. Everything is happening in time and space. When I was a child, time, space, object was there. I was young, time, space and object was there. I cannot change it. I cannot change it. Now I have a grey hair. I don't want to accept it. And that is why those those people market more than 200 products for the body. To look young, to feel energetic. No, we should do it. Hairs were, started, my stitches were started going into my mouth, so I had a haircut also. So I have other reasons. You see, your mind should be focused on Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. No, I'm not saying that, don't color your hair. No, I'm not saying that's not my my cup of tea. But if you accept the time, space, and the objects, if you accept the body, if you accept the birth of the body, you have to accept the death of the body. Are you getting it? There should be a total acceptance. No, I will accept head, but I am not ready to accept tail. Are you getting it? I am ready to accept head, but I am not ready to accept the tail. They are both the sides of the same coin, my friends. So when I accept partially, I have a delusion. My son always followed me, agreed to me, but now he is not. Word means you have to accept the opposites. Accept fully. Accept your old age and then color your hair. It doesn't matter anything. It does not make any difference. But you don't want to accept one. Word is made up of opposites. This is what our master says. You accept it. So when you have a total acceptance, what happens? Delusion is gone. So being a part of the society, living a family life, you can reach to the highest level of realization by total acceptance. What the monks do, they totally reject the word. That is another way. They totally reject the word. That is another way. So in that process also, the delusion comes. Buddha followed that path. Many masters have followed. My master has followed that path. Both reach to the same. But I should not forget that, Terry triggered my mind. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Murdhamate. I have to hammer this mind which lives in the delusion. At this moment, lying on the bed, I'm speaking. You may remember, just try to remember. You can get a revelation at any moment, any time in your life. But you have to continue listening and learning, contemplation and reflection, and practice until we reach to that state. So what he said, at this moment lying in the bed, ill and remembering my whole life. I will tell you the name later. Or if you can remember, if you can recall. I realize that all the recognition and wealth I have are insignificant in the presence of imminent death. Imminent death. I have accepted the birth. I have accepted the recognition. I have accepted that I have earned billions of dollars, so I have also accepted the death. Think of it. Who said this? You can hire someone to drive you a car. You see the revelation, how the revelation takes place. You have a different expression. You can hire someone to drive you a car, make money for you, but you can't hire someone to carry the disease for you. You see, It is the same principle. You have your own revelation. Are you getting it? Not only this, I got his. As we get older, we get smarter. We slowly understand that when a clock is worth $30 or $300, they both show the exact same time. Are you getting it? I'm just reading what this man said. I will tell you the name. If you know the name, then you can tell me. You can tell everyone. We are almost using his product. Whether we drive $150,000 car or a $2,000 car, the road and the distance are the same. We arrive at the same destination. Do you see the revelation? This guy went to India and spent some time in the Himalayas. Fortunately, he met some realized master. You know, only the master who is well versed with the teaching, they can only give you that training. He spent a couple of months and he returned. And then he wrote all these. If we drink a $300 or a $10 bottle, it's an American way of, it is the same principle. Principle is the same. It's purely an American way. Oh, I have revealed all these. He's an American. Yes, he's an American. You see the revelation, $150,000 car or a 2,000 car, the road and distance are the same. We arrive at the same destination. $30 or $300 watch, it shows you the exact same time. If we drink $300 or $30 wine, we be just drunk. We are just drunk. Now he see, when the revelation comes, the teacher in you awakens, and that teacher in you removes the delusion every time, every moment. That is the meaning of Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. Are you getting it? So initially we started singing Bhaj Govindam, we understand. But now the teacher in you awakens. Teacher lives in that intellect, and that guides and constantly reveals the knowledge in the mind, changes your behavior and attitude, and you enter into that permanent peace and happiness. Now the teaching part. Don't educate your children to be rich. He is sent, this guy. Educate them to be happy. So when they grow up, they will know the value of the things and not their price. It is his words. Can you think of this guy? If anyone think of this guy, let me know. Eat your food as a medicine, otherwise you will have to eat your medicine as a food. That is what he suffered. At the time, extreme suffering, he revealed this wisdom. Oh, let us meet at that restaurant. For what? For just gossip. For having the food that we like. We don't meet to discuss the Eastern wisdom. Let me evolve. Let me help each other to rise in awareness. We don't have time. We are busy. We are very busy. If one who loves you will never leave you, even if he has 100 reasons to give up. he will always find one reason to hold on. Do you find one reason to hold on to me? No. Anyhow, there is a big difference between being a human and a being. Look at that. He talks all about the principles of Eastern wisdom. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Do you know who said this? Who revealed this knowledge? The product that you use every day. You use every day. It is the founder of your Apple, iPhone, the Steve Jobs. Terry triggered, she said something and I said, no, let me talk about this. This is the removal of the delusion. We already know he had a cancer. Went to India, found someone. He constantly did lot of meditation practices, returned, and then he, these are his words. When we constantly listen and learn, we understand what is the delusion. We make a self-effort to remove that delusion. A revelation. The teacher in you is awakened. These are the exact words of the Steve Jobs. If we drink $300 wine or a $10 bottle of a wine, we just be drunk. You can apply. You marry Miss Universe or so-called, in that term, an ordinary girl. Same. You can go on expanding. Steve Jobs. Both starts with S. What? So that's what I have been saying you, that intellectual understanding and then the realization, there is a big gap. I have to fill that gap by listening and learning, contemplation and reflection, repeat listening and learning, and practice. When the realization takes place, you have a revelation. Even after a revelation, there are many things to be done to allow the life to balance at a higher level. That is what we say the awakening is. Can you, the guy who created this iPhone is saying that don't educate your children to be rich, educate them to be happy. These are his words. You can find out on the Google. Eat your food as a medicine. And he was eating medicine as a food. But can you think of his state? Can you think of his state? People don't notice it. People don't want to inquire into that. He might have done 100 crimes, but in the end he has reached to that state because of that revelation. Oh, this is my understanding. You may have a different understanding. Welcome. Those who write their life history, they may write conflicted person, lot of challenges, lot of problems. We all undergo through all these problems. Who doesn't go under these problems? But the man who bridges the gap, knowledge to the wisdom, So this is what the Master have already written. We may be caught in any delusion with the honey, money, recognition, people, society, nation. We have to live in the same society. We have to live with the same people. What we need is to remove this delusion, a constant confirmation from your intellect. That means an understanding. Then changing the way of life means that removing the delusion helps you reach there. And the best part of life is that once you live into that revealed knowledge, you become light to people who are near and dear you. You are not teaching, but your words, the way you perceive, that is what the Terry was saying. It's a big idea. You have a big idea. You have a big understanding. You have a clear understanding of the life. Why? Devoid of delusion. Then what happens? You find people keep relationship for years together with you. You recognize the mind is clear. The intellect is saturated with the love and wisdom. At least from your side, now you are made up of love and kindness and compassion. Why? Delusion is not there. So even if you have not studied any single book, you become a torch bearer of Eastern wisdom. You are free from the cult, dogma and belief. You may change your language, doesn't matter. You have a different profession, doesn't matter. Why? That awareness, that consciousness is constantly manifesting, devoid of delusion. You have picked up the essence of very life, the very existence. It's not theoretical. I already gave an example of this great guy, Steve Jobs, whose phone we are using, but we don't remember his revelations. $300, $30, 150,000 car, 2,000 car. A drive to the same distance. Can you see the insight? Can you see the understanding? This is removing the delusion. It's not that, India has revealed all those masters. We have masters near and dear us, near all of us. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, Bhaj Mudhamate. Sannihite, Sannaprapte, Sannihite Kale, Dukrunna Karani. So there is a realization, I have accepted the birth, my youth, my old age, my all kinds of pleasure. I have gone through, and now the grey beard. Can I put his words in a different way? Yes, but don't scare us. No, I'm not scaring, but I'm telling fast backward. I would say that at least everyone should be around 40 years. If they are younger than 40, excuse me. Fast backward. Go 40 years back. We remember pain and the pleasure, achievements and recognition, fear, turmoil in our life. I'm not scaring you. Fast forward another 50 years. How many people will be there joining this session? If I have accepted the past, I should accept the fast forward also. What happens when I accept this? My mind stops clinging to the delusion. Oh, there was such a time I had lot of stress 20 years ago, but now I am okay. That is what we talk about. So let us do 50 years forward. Do we know how many of us will be alive? We celebrated birthday. Can we also laugh at this? Is the total acceptance of the life. Why total acceptance? The mind gets rid of the delusion. Now the mind do not have a chance to fall into pain. Oh, this is the way the life is. Inner essence of the true self reveals in the mind. Why? Because the mind is pure. So that pure mind and the consciousness with the name and the form has been understood as Govinda, the name Govinda. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. Think of our great entrepreneur, contributor, scientist, discoverer, Steve Jobs, plus not only a follower, but even in the end he realized so you can apply the same thing, $300 or $30, gray beard or black beard. Eyes without bags and eyes with the bags. Doesn't make any difference. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed. Eyes are closed and being comfortable and carefree. You know what it means by being comfortable and carefree. You all are seekers. I need not to talk about it. Looking inside the forehead, you see, we get a big idea from this mantra. That is another way to put it. What is that big idea? Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Why I get a big idea? I get rid of the delusion. Distance and the time, same, whether I have $150,000 or $22,000. No, if I have resources, I must get it. But there is no delusion about the distance and the time. Now apply this. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. May there be peace for all. No, you are my employee. What you are doing is something different than me. I give value to my profession. No, my friends. Every individual is unique. Same consciousness vibrates. That is why may there be happiness for all. Now see, this is the journey from the intellectual understanding to a realization. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace for all. You already know it. You listen to this today's talk again and compare with this mantra. Our masters have revealed the just cream, the essence that you can apply anywhere. I believe you all are getting to that. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. May there be completeness in all. So sense of completeness is reflected in the words of Steve. How? First comparison, 150,000, 2,000. And then the essence is completeness. Your mind should hammer with this knowledge. $300, $30. So he started looking at very completeness. I believe you all are getting, my friends. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham. What is happening? Auspicious. What is that auspiciousness? You bring the entire humanity to oneness. How? By your understanding and realization. But why you bring? How it helps me? It changes my mind. It removes my delusion. That is the main purpose. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. May there be auspiciousness for all. Looking deep inside the forehead, in the space, body remain in the state of steadiness, and start breathing quick and gentle breath into the rib cage. Your chest expands and contracts with every inhalation and exhalation. What we understood? Because you are doing a regular practice, so you remember, if there is a resistance, I will endure it. Means I will continue to do it. I will not stop. If I accept the changes, visions and colors and tingling, but I will not get carried away. Did you still remember the words of Steve Jobs? Not to get carried away. So you have a recognition, means you are aware, you have an acceptance, and you have endurance. I would also say you have a power of discernment that recognizes that the mind that is resisting cannot carry me to the highest consciousness, even if it resists. So I know what needs to be done. Continue, quick, gentle, short breath into the rib cage. You are aware of the body, comfortable, steadiness. You are aware of the point. You are also dropping Om Shanti deep inside your forehead, and you continue your breathing. Continue. Breathing continues, Om Shanti continues, the steadiness continues, discernment continues, endurance continues. You see how the mind, how can I say, converts a natural focus. And stop it, allow the breath to be normal. Pay attention to the flow of the breath, whichever has the less flow, pay attention there. To see that the flow of the breath becomes equal, and if they are equal, just pay attention there. It becomes easy for us to help the mind to go with the breath, go with the life force. The life force is not oxygen and carbon dioxide. The life force, we see that this prana that has 72,864 energy pathways. Energy pathways. How? My smartphone also has an energy pathway, but I can't see it. That is what we say the signal. It's not a subject matter of the science. So that energy pathway, all the energy pathways converge with the flow of these two nostrils, and that helps the mind to merge within. And now looking inside the forehead, Om Shanti, continue steadiness, and now start breathing. Let a longer breath into the belly, belly breathing. You will discover that the breathing has a freedom. The nostrils become free from any obstruction. Continue. Belly breathing. Your mind will surely at a point may say, resistance. You are discerning, so you have an endurance and you continue without a break. But sometimes there is an easy flow. You find that it's very easy to continue. Means what? There is no inner resistance. I told you, intellectual understanding, anyone can have it. But the realization takes time. Continue breathing into the belly, rhythmic breath. It's a little longer than the chest breathing. Resistance, acceptance, recognition, Om Shanti. I use many words. Every word has a meaning and you apply that. And stop this, do nothing, remain as you are. Pay attention to the flow of the breath. You see, we just pay attention to the flow of the breath. So it is an awareness on the flow of the breath. that helps the mind to be absorbed within. And now, again looking inside the forehead, Om Shanti continues, and this time it's a long breath that engages the belly and the rib cage together. Inhalation expands the belly and the ribs. Exhalation contracts the belly and the ribs, one after the other. So you are conscious, you are recognizing the movement of the belly and the rib cage during inhalation and exhalation with Om Shanti. Please continue. You will discover that the body becomes more still. There comes a totally emotionless state. Why? The life force is withdrawn inside, deep inside. And there we get an absorption of the mind. Long, deep in the hissing breath with Om Shanti, body remain in that state of the steadiness. It will naturally, because the mind is withdrawn inside, so resistance is not there. But sometimes we have some resistance and we continue and we succeed. And stop this, do nothing, pay attention to the flow of the breath while experiencing. You might have experienced some resistance, but now you have variety of experiences, so you recognize them and aware of the flow of the nostrils. Now the triangle deep inside the cave of your heart, moving the mind on an equilateral triangle, pointing upward deep inside the heart, find a sink, moving it in a clockwise and anti-clockwise direction. And once you realize that the mind has a sink, You say singing mentally, pushing the mind inside the cave, the heart seemingly stops, Shanti. So you are now allowing the mind to be consciously self-absorbed. So the mind jumps onto the other thoughts. It keeps on jumping. You can again come back to the triangle. Otherwise, you already know it. We have understood that in previous sessions. Please continue. And now, Om Shanti, dropping to the mind's eye, mind's ear, mind's tongue, on the 16 segments of the finger that we already know, every time. So you see that the mind, the intellect has a will, and it says here is the first segment, there you drop Om Shanti. Again the second and third, continue. Again understand, it's not that how many times you drop Om Shanti. It is the quality. It is your awareness. Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both of arms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms, know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. If you have any question, you can ask. How are you, Samir?
Sir, very peaceful, sir.
Very peaceful.
Totally stiff.
Yeah.
Hands were frozen.
Yeah.
Body was frozen. No movement was there at all. At the end of the time.
Yes.
It was totally freezing.
Yes, when it is totally frozen, we can say it's a kind of self-absorption, and still we are aware. And then the mind is sitting inside in that state of the purity to reveal. How are you, David and Jerry?
Good, thank you very much. It was a very steady, smooth, felt very present, was aware of some thoughts periodically, but was just a flowing, smooth, deep meditation.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's too smooth, and going deeper obviously is a deeper state. Very good. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good, thank you. The meditation, I felt absorbed. My mind focused a bit on the acceptance, because I feel like my mind is rooted in the knowledge of the pieces there no matter what. If we lose everything that we think we have, we don't really have anything anyways other than our peace and our love and our.
Yeah.
So you can strip us of everything, and you can basically do whatever you want, and I still have my peace.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful explanation of the same thing. You see that you can compare a revelation of which when I read it first time many years ago, what Steve Jobs said, and I said this is what he is talking of the Eastern wisdom. So people don't pay attention to it. And the second part is that whenever you use I don't use the iPhone. So whenever you use the iPhone, at least you should feel grateful to that guy. I should be in the mode of contributing. I think majority of you are using iPhone, ego phone. That's why I use Android phone. I used it. No, it's a way to remember. How are you, Stephen?
Good, thank you. I similar to Samit, David, and Jari, completely absorbed. I heard and went through every transition from different breaths, triangle, and so on and so forth. Everything in between was absolute peace, quiet, nothing going on. My major realization during that was really the fact that I couldn't even get through one finger of the japa. No matter how many times I tried to get to it, I just gave up and just stayed in the absorbed state and struggled to come out. So thank you.
Beautiful. Do you see that all the four share their experiences, which has no element of resistance? It was just as smooth. Everyone explained that it was smooth, the body was totally frozen. It means the resistance is not there. Look at it. That is how we understand. You all are going to be teachers to yourself and also to others. Not in delusion, but in this fashion. How are you, Brandy?
I'm good. I really liked that lesson today. It was timely for me because it's easy to get caught up. You opened it with how many times last week? Probably a lot of times, right? And then to Teresa's point, like it can all go away, and you have what you have left, which is you, the real you, the peace.
Yeah, when we are young, we have $150,000 body. How full of energy, emotional. We can go, Dad, I don't want to listen to you. Get rid of, that's why I'm leaving you. But as then we realize, now it's $50,000. So that understanding should be there. You rightly said that awareness should be there. Oh, so you didn't like my previous lessons. Today's lesson you like it. No, I'm just joking. Christina. How are you, Christina?
Thank you. Today I felt like time stopped and it felt so quick.
Yeah.
And I had an awareness of, because I've been still contemplating when others blame and complain, and my response. And today, something that you shared made me think I lose sight of the fact that I'm interacting with one consciousness and others. And if I can get into that place of love, maybe it's not about how I have to or need to react, but that feeling that they are part of one consciousness.
Yes, that's a great revelation. That's a great understanding. That is what, I have been saying. Intellectual understanding is one thing, but I have to pass through lot of purity of the mind. Mind is absorbed within practice, and then we get a realization. And from there, but this realization, if it stays for a day and few minutes, it means I have to continue the journey. That is the meaning of this beautiful sharing of your experiences. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you. I'm fine. The meditation was deep, seamless. I was very absorbed, and I think the clarity is what was different in today's meditation. That is a sense of clarity, like I can recall and replay every step, every moment of this meditation.
You're right. That is what. Yeah, go ahead. Complete.
Yeah, I'm done.
That is why, this master has created this poem, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Sannahite, Sanprapte, Sannahite Kale, Nahi Nahi, Jukran, appointed time of death. It means I have accepted the birth and the growth and the decaying and the death all together. Mind, how dare you can put me into stress. You have no right. That is what we are telling the mind through reminding and recalling. Wonderful. Terry, where are you? I think you have triggered my mind, so I talked about Steve Jobs, who was living nearby you,
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I was just aware I had some resistance, but it was also a little freer with the breathing. So I was aware of the breathing, as I was aware of the resistance, aware of the thoughts and the various things, and that's pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah. Aware of the young age, I told you, fast backward, 40 years ago. Fast forward, 50 years.
Yes, I enjoyed that idea, actually. Yeah.
Where is the body? Where is the mind? Where is the relationship? Where is the pain? Where is the suffering? Gone. So what is left? Only peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. How are you, Vaibhav?
Thank you, sir. Sir, I'm good. Thoughts were coming and going, but inside I was calm and peaceful.
Good. Calm and peaceful. Throughout the process, if we are calm and peaceful, that is also an indication that there is no resistance at all. Beautiful. How are you, Ashok?
Nostrils was very much clear, and almost the same air was, same air, same air to hai, like the flow was equal almost. Good. And I have no question. That's it.
Very good. Very good. When the flow is equal, the mind is absorbed deep into almost like a silence. And if it continues to stay there, we have a revelation like anyone. Like anyone. Because it is the one consciousness that reveals the knowledge. Expression may be different. Our expression, your expression, David's expression, Stephen and Terry's expression may be different. But again, what is the beauty of this Eastern wisdom is that those masters have come to those teachings that you have the same revelations from the same center of one consciousness, which is of the nature of...
Existence has several ways to come.
Yeah. That is all for today. Thank you very much. Tolerating me.
Namaste, everyone.
Thank you. The ignorance. So lead us, it says, lead us from ignorance to wisdom. That is why it is said. But it is only for the seeker of the higher order. If you are a seeker, if you are mindful, and then this poem will definitely inspire you and change your behavior and attitude. Bhaj Govindam, Govindam bhaj moodha mate, samprapte sannahite kale, nahi nahi rakshati dukrunna karne. Appointed time of death. So the master is hammering us that death can come at any time. Why you are in stress and anxiety? Where? What is the cause? Why don't you remember that we are of the nature of peace and happiness? That we don't remember. Why? Because of the ego, because of the identification with likes and dislikes in our daily life. We always receive some warning from Microsoft and sometime from the Google. Oh, the dangerous app is there. Do not click. Otherwise, your entire PC will be infected. Yeah? But the most dangerous app is our mind. Without clicking those links, who clicks those links? It is the mind. Mind gets attracted to it. Mind is not aware. Mind is not recognizing. This is what the master is saying. Most dangerous app is our mind. And it has to be changed by the knowledge. Knowledge in the intellect, but the knowledge in the intellect will descend down into the mind only if we are a seeker. If we are not a seeker, it will not help you. Then you will say, okay, he is a good motivational speaker. Motivation drops down. And that is why it is said consistent, regular study, understanding, applying these principles in our daily life will help us to awaken to our real self. Bhaj Govindam. Simple. I have given you a simple translation. Bhaj Govindam. Remember, recall. You see, when you are in a stress, mind is lopsided. Mind is one-sided. It doesn't think except the stress. It does not recognize that I am of the nature of peace and happiness. And there comes the problem. And that is why Bhaj Govindam is a reminder, just to recognize. Who can recognize? Who has studied, who has become a seeker, only then we can remove this delusion. We have been understanding that delusion is a false belief or impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by the reality or a rational argument. We know it. What is the reason? It arises from ignorance, lack of knowledge, insight or wisdom. Just take an example. I am my thought. Is it real? Now the thought says you are crazy. I am my thought. See that? And this happens in daily life. This happens in our daily life activities. Or you can say, what is the thought? Oh, she is very attractive. Now this is only a thought. And it goes into the mind. And the mind becomes lopsided. Then what happens? Think of this. So the master is saying, it is due to the ignorance the delusion takes over. So, but why this thought takes over me? Because of the attachment and clinging. We cling to the delusional belief because they provide comfort. For some time they provide the comfort to me, they provide the security, they provide the ego gratification. That is why I told you that we have to be a seeker. We should understand. It obscures. The delusion always obscures the true nature of the reality. My master used to say, whenever you are in anxiety, start contemplating and reflecting which thought associated with which feeling. Then explore the areas of attachment. And there and then drop this attachment. Don't fight with the thought. The moment you drop the attachment, the delusion is gone. I've been repeating again and again, when you are driving on the highway, you always see the highways moving, running behind you. You are carefree. Do you become carefree whenever these thoughts passes to your mind? In your relations, it does not. And that is the reason we suffer. Delusion comes and the delusion causes the suffering. So we have done The second also Mood Jahihi Dhanagam Trishnam Kuru Sadbuddhim Manasi with Trishnam Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam. So in the verse, second verse, we use the Bhaj Govindam as a support system. That's an American phrase, you know. I've also started mentally and emotionally becoming an American. So Bhaj, otherwise Bhaj Govindam is there. So let me have the support system. I have an anxiety, Bhaj Govindam is a support system. Let me remind it. So the moment you remind, you recover, you recognize the very delusion that is causing the anxiety, and you get rid of it. That is the meaning of living in mindfulness. Simply by intellectually saying, you know, I'm living in mindfulness, I have a lot of stress. Oh, so living in mindfulness that you are living in stress. It will not work. And it has not been working. You already know it. So a child needs the support of a mother, students need support of a teacher, patient needs support of a doctor. So same thing, the mind needs the support of the right knowledge. We need a support. So if we need a support of the wealth to be happy, not possible. Food, not possible to be happy. My master used to say the support means that I am now ready to drop ego. So when the ego takes over and it indicates a particular behavior and attitude at a particular moment, you simply drop it by saying Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. Otherwise we will become a singer by singing Bhaj Govindam. Singer does not mean that. The singer may be singing I used to attend Seventh-day Adventist church, perhaps, people here might be aware of that. Krishna, are you aware of Seventh-day Adventist church, in New Jersey? There used to be just a beautiful singing, chorus singing. So singer may sing this Bhaj Govindam, but the singer doesn't change. His expertise is in singing. So here we are not only saying that you sing, but you go deeper. Support means that I am now ready to drop that ego-created delusion and I become aware so that I live in the state of mindfulness. Hammer the Delusion is our series. Why limitations? Why limitations? Delusion causes the limitation. So what is the delusion? The wealth will give me insecurity, will give me happiness, will give me satisfaction. So I need to examine it. Now don't think that you need not to earn money. No, you guys are contributing. Jerry and David are contributing to, so obviously I'm also earning. But limitations, delusion that causes the limitation and it puts a pressure on the mind that the wealth is the only way I should be happy. The recognition is the only way that I should be happy. Oh, let me see the social media. How many likes are there? That will make me happy. It will not. This is the part of the delusion. So from one delusion to another, and then we continue to have a problem of insecurity, unhappiness, and dissatisfaction. The master is saying that I should recognize the limitations of pleasure in relationship. It is not hammering, it does not want to remove that pleasure. How can we live our personal life, professional life, social life? You go to the restaurant and you say that, you give me the pasta and I'm ready to experience happiness inside. No, you need not to say all those stuff. Otherwise they will say you crazy. You go there wherever you like, minus the delusion. You talk to everyone. You talk to your honey, minus the delusion. You talk to your kids, minus the delusion. You're always happy. This is what the message is. I believe you all are getting it. You all are seekers in this journey. Think of this. So now see how the master makes us understand limitations of pleasure in relationship means what? Explain that in your mind. So I relate myself to an object, to a person, to a thing, to a situation. Oh, look at this, Krishna did not congratulate me on my birthday. Oh, you be happy with yourself, it is your birthday. Every birthday 1 year becomes less. We are approaching, fact is this. Every birthday we are approaching to, I don't want to say, otherwise you'll feel bad about it, limitations of pleasure in relationship means that the mind comes in contact with an object, with a person, with a thing, with a situation, with an event. Only as long as the contact is there, we have a pleasure. The moment your contact is removed, pleasure is gone. But during the pleasure, experiencing the pleasure, I forget my real self. Master says, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. Pleasure is a projection of happiness in those events. Any event. You give me any event. Can you say that where you experience the true happiness? Now define true happiness. True happiness means it cannot be rejected, it cannot be taken, it cannot be given. Are you getting it? You cannot take the true happiness from anyone, and you cannot receive true happiness from anything. It is our nature. True means nature, natural, essence. No, I did not understand. Sweetness of a sugar. You put it into the water, the sugar does not taste saltous or sour. Wherever the sugar is there, it shows its sweetness. Hammer the delusion. So we hammer the delusion by understanding. So again, go limitations of the pleasure in relationship. We create a secondary self. You are eating pasta. Who gets the pleasure? My tongue, my body. It is the secondary self. So we explain that there is a real self, there is a false self, and then there is a secondary self. So it is the false self and the secondary self always receives the pleasure because of the attachment, because of the clinging. So what is the false self first? Real self we have already understood. What is the false self? False self, that I am the body. So when I am the body, I have done the shave and everything, and if you don't appreciate me, I feel bad. I stood before the mirror for an hour and I'm meeting you and you are not appreciating me. It is the secondary self. No, it is the false self. When I am the body, I am the secondary self, false self. And now I am smart. That is the secondary self. First I am the body, then I am the honey. That is the secondary self. You see the process of delusion. That is how it works. Can you relate the amount of the wealth that you own to the body? No. So it is a false self, delusion. And then I say I am rich, or even I am poor. It causes the frustration. Just think of it. I'm not saying believe it, follow it. Limitations of pleasure in relationship does not mean that I'm saying relationship between one human with the other. Relationship with any object, the contact with any object in the world outside, let me have the contact minus the delusion. Otherwise, we get frenzy, obsessed, infatuated. I'm using different words, with reference to the different objects we come in contact. Mind is modified. Means what modified? Mind changes its behavior and attitude. How? By thinking. What is that thought? That this pasta gives me the pleasure. For example, Master goes little deeper into it. Just you need to think of it. I'm just giving an idea. I'm not going very deep, otherwise you will stop attending my session. But I'm just giving you a very brief idea, understand it. So to remove the delusion, you go to the origin. What is the original cause? Let me reverse and then help us, we will understand it. Can we eat clay or soil? Answer is big no. Now tell me, anything that we eat, from where they come? They come from the soil. The origin is soil. Whether you say donuts, whether you eat pasta, whether you eat bread, the origin is the soil. To get rid of the delusion, I have to go to the original cause. Contemplate and reflect. I cannot eat the soil, it contains lot of bacteria, but I can eat bread. Is the bread a different manifestation of the soil? Bread or pasta or mutton or chicken, whatever we are eating. Think of this. So it is very clear, it does not mean that we should eat clay, but if I have gone to the origin, I say the origin of every food is the same. Why I cling to one thing to get a momentary pleasure, and that causes the delusion. And that is why we marry to be happy, because now you are a soulmate. And it is the same mind, after a few months and years, the same guy, in the same situation, it becomes the soulmate. It is because of my delusion. So the Master is saying, to get rid of the delusion, I have to go to the origin. I have to see what is the ultimate cause. Why we have to see the ultimate cause? Cause and effect relationship is what the understanding is. That is what the knowledge is. That is what the science. That is how the science works. So I give blame to the secondary cause, to the false self, to the secondary self is the cause of all my insecurity, duality, conflict in my life. I have not yet repeated, I have not just spoken about the verse number 3, I am just giving you the origin of it. Is the infatuation present in the mind, or it is present in the body so that I get infatuated? We need to think. Can you be infatuated by protein, carbohydrate and minerals? Body is made up of the same. Every body has no other element. So the master is saying that why don't you think in this way? Why don't you think in a right way? And look, that's infatuation or attraction caused by the attachment clearly. You see it clearly. No, I will lose all my pleasures in the world. It's better to lose all the pleasures in the world. It's better. Why? Because the pleasure, after the pleasure, you have a pain. The mind swings like a pendulum. You have a pleasure of the pasta eating finish, and then it says, now I still do not experience that pleasure which I experienced yesterday in a restaurant, so I will go back again. So again there is an attachment. Again you're swinging like a pendulum is cause of the delusion. Who is swinging? The mind. What we should do, bhaj govindam, govindam bhaj mudhamate. It will only happen if you are constantly, consistent, practicing in your head at any time. I'm not saying that you need to spend 5 or 6 hours every day. Wherever you are, bhaj govindam, remind yourself. Remind yourself. Delusion to bhaj govindam. If the delusion is not there, you are living in a state of mindfulness. You enter into the wisdom. So be very clear about it. Master is not saying that I should drop everything and go to Himalayas, become Buddha. No, you cannot become Buddha. No one can become Buddha. There is only one Buddha. There is only one you. We all are unique. So if we try to become something, we again go back into another kind of a delusion. We have to remove the delusion. So if I say in an American way, I can use the word that you enjoy all the pleasures in moderation, if I use that word. But in moderation with bhaj govindam, moderation with awareness. You are very clear. The moment you know the moderation, you are clear, pleasure is not there. Enjoy it. But don't cling to them. You're driving your car, the highway is running behind you. You don't cling to that running highway. So the delusion is gone, so you keep on driving. You are safe and secure. Mirage water I gave you. Infatuation. attachment, strong likes and dislikes. One more point, 3 more points, and then we will go for the practice. Another way to understand this, the entire poem makes us understand where are those moments of the delusion, how this mind causes this delusion in our daily life, and how to get rid of it. How to get rid of it is only one way. Bhaj Govindam Bhaj. Remember, recall that I am of the nature of peace and happiness. My mind, why you are looking this peace and happiness outside, why you are looking peace and happiness outside, that is causing the insecurity, dissatisfaction and unhappiness. But simultaneously, it is supported by a consistent, regular practice. What is the key concept? I claim impermanent as permanent, because the now mind is infected with the virus. Mind is infected with the virus of the delusion, so that it claims impermanent as a permanent. That is the normal nature of any virus infected in the PC. And that is also happens in the body. And that is happening in the mind. Impermanence. All conditioned things are temporary, including our bodies and the sensory pleasures, beauty and the nobody is in their 20s, I think, or sweet 16. They are more attracted to the bodily pleasure. But wait for another 20 years, what happens? I'm 65, so wait for now the gray hair right there. Another 20 years. So do I have a clarity that I see the ultimate cause? I drop the conditioning, I drop the delusion. But it doesn't mean that you don't care yourself. Delusion, when you are caught up in a desire for seeking happiness outside. That is the second point. So clinging and desire for seeking happiness outside, clinging and craving. Internally, you don't express it outside. But this is happening in the mind. You go to somebody's house, oh, how beautiful your house is. Mind starts comparing. It enters into a kind of craving. We cannot live in that moment. Think of it, my friends. Think of it. What is the thinking? You have to start thinking. We will go with the third verse in the following session. Close your eyes, my friends. Eyes are closed and eyes are closed. Because I'm laying a foundation for the third verse so that you won't feel bad, but you will feel good. Eyes are closed. 1. Being comfortable and carefree. 1. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. What it means? It means may there be happiness for all. Now what you are seeking happiness for all. You have to find out the new meaning every time. Why? How? By contemplation and reflection. And answer another question of why. In order to remove the delusion from the mind, I need to contemplate and reflect. Whatever the thoughts and ideas I am presenting, You have to come up with a new ideas, a new thought through your reflection that is going to change your mind. And that is why we share all our experiences. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace for all. Do you still remember, my friends? That is what the Bhaj Govindam is. Do you remember the peace is the essential nature of every person, every being? So we have an outer layer of different name in the form, but deeper inside is one peace pulsating in every one. Simply can I think and be aware? So what will happen? The friend, or maybe someone is crazy before you, you don't become crazy. Why? Because you are studying the Eastern wisdom. But why? You do not become crazy because now you recognize the other guy becomes crazy. That is his way of discovering the peace, but your way is totally different. You see a perspective. I'm giving every time a new perspective to these mantras. Sarvesham, Sarvesham, Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham, Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. May there be completeness in all. I am into delusion, or you can say I am into anxiety, duality, conflict, stress only because of the delusion. What is the delusion? That I am incomplete. No, but how it fits here? Because of sense of incompleteness, I fight with you. I'm angry over you, I get agitated. If I'm complete. So from where I got this revelation? My master used to say that the elephant continues to walk and the dogs continues to bark over them. Nothing happens to the elephant. Elephant knows I'm complete. They don't dare to attack me. But we feel we are attacked because of the clinging, because of the delusion. Sarvesham, Sarvesham, Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham, Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham, Mangalam Bhavatu. There is another meaning of this Mangalam. May there be a prosperity for all. So when I am expanding my mind, seeking the prosperity for all, I am also getting rid of the delusion. You have to sit down few minutes every day and you have to give a new meaning to these mantras. Why? That is what the Bhaj Govindam is. Very good. Now looking deep inside the forehead, okay, and in the space you are doing Om Shanti there gently, and start breathing from the rib cage. From the rib cage, gentle. So you expand the ribs, inhalation, you contract the ribs, squeeze the ribs during exhalation. You have to also, I told you, perhaps you remember, you also recognize the changes, accept it, resistance, endure it. One day definitely it happens, until we reach to a point where the mind does not have any resistance. It comes by regular practice, consistent, without break. the time comes that the mind has no power to resist what you are doing. What is the result? You already know it. Continue doing quick, short, gentle breathing into the rib cage with an experience of sensation, comfort, and steadiness, dropping the Om Shanti deep inside the forehead in the space. Means you are enjoying it. And when you are enjoying means what? You are rising in awareness. And rising in awareness means what? You are dropping the delusion. So it is not only the breathing part, it is your understanding also continues. Knowledge plus practice. I have been stressing it. That is the message of the entire Eastern wisdom. Continue one day, obviously, on one day when you're doing a regular practice, one day the mind will say, no, I cannot do it. It has a point of resistance because of the past impression and delusion. The other day it continues to do it. It wants to do more. So we recognize the different states of the mind on a given day when we are doing the practice. And that will open the gateway to a higher consciousness. Please continue, my friends. Continue. And now stop it. Do you remember? Recognize the changes, accept the changes, recognize the resistance, but at the same time, bring your awareness on the breath. You pay attention to the flow of the breath. So we have kept our mind on one thing. If the flow of the breath through both the nostrils is uniform and the same, there is a synergy. Make it sure that your mind is living within. You need not worry about anything, even if there are other thoughts there in the mind. Remember this part. Oh, even if there are thoughts, yes. So these thoughts are on the surface level. They are not disturbing. When you have a synergy, uniform flow of the breath through both the nostrils, that recognition is required. Sometimes we are not aware that these thoughts have nothing to do with me, even if they are present. Because of the past habit of the clinging, the mind deluded. Looking deep inside the forehead, my friends, again. Continue with Om Shanti and start doing the belly breathing. Little longer breath with both the nostrils. You expand your belly and you contract your belly with every breath. Pay attention. Body remain in the state of steadiness because we have to change the mind. So we have to see how the mind is doing its activities during the practice is more important than simply intellectualizing it. We maintain that steadiness in the body. We are aware that only the belly is moving out and in. We are doing the Om Shanti and we continue the breathing. We are also checking. We feel the new changes in the body, new experiences, we accept it. And at the same time, it's a very internal and subtler understanding. And that subtler understanding comes when you are doing the practice regularly, you are consistent. Our goal is to reach to that state, the highest state of the consciousness. Continue, my friends. One day your mind will say, today is, we are doing it for a longer period. It creates an imagination. You need not to think of it. You keep on doing it. When you keep on doing it, you need not to be concerned about how long we are doing it. It has no value. But yes, in the beginning it has a value, and the teacher is taking care of that. Long in the hissing breath through both the nostrils into the belly. Resistance is there, you endure that resistance. First the knowledge says, no, I will continue doing it. But if the knowledge is not there, endurance part is not there, then your mind will react. It will continue to move the body. It will go in another direction. Your breath rate will become different. So it's a journey to an extraordinary awareness. It's not an easy thing to do. But yes, if it happens, you are open to a higher awareness. And stop it. Just you, when you stop, allow the breath to be normal. Pay attention to the breath on both the nostrils, the flow. And at the same time, you recognize the changes in experiences. You have already registered a memory whether there was any resistance or not. Simply registering that information. How it happens when you are continuously, when you are consistent in the practice. Otherwise, what will happen? You feel the resistance today and your mind doesn't want, it refuses to do the practice for a week. Finished, you are gone. And now looking deep inside the forehead again, Om Shanti, drop it. Do you still remember Om Shanti, how to drop it? Om. You recognize the pause, Shanti, pause, Om, pause, Shanti. And now start breathing both from the belly and the rib cage. First you inhale into the belly, continue into the ribs, exhale from the belly and from the rib cage. You will discover the free flow of the breath during exhalation. If both the nostrils have an equal flow, the breath is exhaled so easily. It doesn't take a time. But at the same time, your inhalation should also have an easy flow. Do not squeeze your nostrils. It is a part of the Tantra, or you can say the Kundalini, this breathing part, with the mantra. Long, deep hissing. That hissing sound drops when you have an equal flow of the nostril. Oh, you didn't tell me before. Yes, everything happens by time. And stop it, do nothing. Awareness of the breath. Register all the experiences that you have, changes, and also any resistance that you endured successfully. So what happens when you do it next time? You know how to endure that resistance, and with reference to the beautiful experiences you have it. That inspires you to do the practice regularly. It's not by my saying. Awareness of the flow of the breath. Move the mind deep inside the cave of your heart. Triangle. Visualize the triangle of any color, but shape is the same, equilateral, pointing upward. Move the mind from one side of the triangle, dropping Om Shanti in a clockwise, then anti-clockwise, then clockwise. Discover if the sink is there. You find a sink. Sink of what? I've been telling you, sinking of Om Shanti, moving the mind on the side of a triangle. It is an easy flow. The moment you find the sink, you just move the mind at the center of the triangle, singing mentally Om. You go deep as possible. Mind seemingly stops. You drop Shanti and discover. Now you're doing nothing. A kind of self-absorption is there. Awareness with self-absorption. I know I'm contradicting these two statements. I will explain it. Let the time come. Contradiction in terms of modern psychology, self-absorption is known as a forgetfulness. There, self-absorption in meditation is known as a higher state of the consciousness. Oh, we'll talk about it. You're in a state of doing nothing. That is the point. So that is also, but you're just sitting. That is also equal to a kind of Zen. We say the Zen meditation. We just talk about it a lot. But we have to understand what is behind it. And now, dropping Om Shanti on 16 segments of the four fingers of any hand, right or left, doesn't matter. You're not touching it, but the mind's eye. Now you see that? I have been stressing again. Mind's eye, mind's ear, mind's tongue is doing Om Shanti. Means the mind continues to remain inside. We can also do it, Om Shanti, casually, habitually, impulsively, and that is what, nothing happens there. But here, because the senses are not allowed to go outside, so the mind does not recall any past impression, there is another level of self-absorption we experience here, and that takes us to the higher consciousness. That is what I meant. Sometime it doesn't matter that you complete all the 16 segments. You are analyzing, understanding the movement of the mind. The mind may say Om, and then it continues to maintain. You may feel the vibrations, sensations on that segment, and then it takes time to say Shanti. That is one aspect. At the same time, you are saying Om and the mind forgets it. It falls into sleep. So we have to recognize that. So whether there is a mixture of experiences, you fall into unconsciousness or you rise into consciousness. I'll talk in detail about these steps as we go on changing the steps of the practice. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms, know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. You are free to share your experiences. And also, if you have any question, how are you, David and Jerry?
We're having some internet issues there, so that's why I cut the video off. Loved the lesson, really resonated in a lot of areas of my life right now, and I'm going to spend some time reflecting on that throughout the day and tomorrow. The practice was a jumbo for me because I've got a lot of things going on in my mind, but I was able to get to a deep spot during the japa.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And you see the mind is inspired. Oh, let me contemplate and reflect. So when I start contemplating and reflecting, what happens? I start living into that higher awareness. I'm already living in a moment. That is required. That will help us to go a little higher. Beautiful. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, completely absorbed. The mind really wants to see clearly all the time. And so whenever there's any kind of static or chaos, it just wants to try to get to the place where it's clear. And so, because with the knowledge, with a clear knowledge, you can always deal with whatever presents itself. But if there's not a clear knowledge, then you don't know what you're dealing with.
You're right. Perhaps that's a beautiful way to explain it. But my mind picked up one thing, that there should be a clarity, and my mind went back into what my master used to say. See that, I'm seeing all of you. Clear? But do I see, is there a simultaneous awareness of oneness plus all of you? It is possible. It is possible. Oneness is only, we all are essentially one. We are not one at the physical level, at the mental level, at the preferences of the likes and dislikes and the colors and the age. But behind that, there is only oneness. And that oneness can only be realized if I recognize and realize that I am consciousness. If I recognize that I am consciousness, I can have a simultaneous awareness. What is that word known as? I will tell you later, not today. So, how are you, Dennis?
I'm fine, Guruji, thank you. For the talk, the thing that triggered my mind, got my attention is you said that your teacher told you that whenever you're in stress or in anxiety, you have to analyze, find the thought that is connected to that thing, and then explore that thought and find the attachment that is associated with that thought, and drop the attachment, and then the thought drops automatically. This is what I have been thinking about and pondering and contemplating for the last few months, and came to the same conclusion. And thank you for confirming this today, that my conclusion was right. For the meditation, it was deep. I was pretty much absorbed. The flow was equal, and the space was there at the end.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You have to explain these to our friends behind you later. But one thing I want to stress, I like you, I love you, I am attached to you. So you just use these phrases, you will see the entire world, everything outside stops, except the person whom you love. That love is an attachment. That is an infatuation. So I am not able to see the reality. Now see the other side. I am. Now you are responsible for my stress. You made me angry. So same, there is an exclusive attention on the delusion. And we are not able to make our mind free from that. Are you getting it? I don't know whether I'm able to make myself say things clearly. But the moment, what the Dennis is saying, the moment you start contemplating, what do you mean by contemplation? You have already separated that thought. Your thought says, I'm in anxiety. You have already separated. You have started contemplating, pondering over it. 50% of the problem is already gone. Why it is gone? Because the delusion is gone. Delusion has, now you are hammering the delusion. Hammering the delusion in your mind does not mean that you use the physical hammer and you hammer on the head. It's a recognition. It's an awareness. I believe you are getting it. How are you, Brandy? I'm so happy. You all become a center of your evolution. How are you, Brandy?
Labeling what was coming up in the mind during the meditation to help me kind of move past it. Just, like things like David, my mind was pretty busy today, and when something would present, I would be like, task, that's a task, right? And then once I had the label, I could detach from it, right? Like, it was like, okay, well, that'll be something that you can do later.
Beautiful.
And it really seemed to calm me down. Yeah, calm the mind down.
Calm the mind. You see, there is only another expression is coming. When I subjectify the thought, it becomes a problem. You simply objectify it. So that object is different from you. You are not an object. And that is what she is saying. Beautiful way. That's good. Thank you. How are you, Barbara?
I'm very good, thank you. The meditation was very deep for me today. There was one point, though, that I felt a lot of pressure in my temples and a lot of warmth at the same time. I'm not quite sure what caused that.
Yeah, the calmness and coolness around in the body, obviously it indicates a deeper state of meditation, and that is going to help us in rising in awareness. That's beautiful. Sometimes we do not have any thought. It's simply a state of easy flow and experience of that calmness. No, I don't want to speak more. How are you, Christina?
Thank you. Today I noticed also a pull to thoughts, but then almost an excitement or eagerness to keep hammering the delusion through the practice.
Yeah, that's good.
And noticed just a deep self-absorption.
Yeah, this idea and this thought that let me continue to hammer the delusion, whatever the thought comes. Whatever the thought comes. If you live into that moment in awareness, the delusion goes away. I'll explain you in a bit. Are you ready to share your experiences, Terry?
I'll try. I mostly focused on the breathing.
Okay.
Breathing. But I can't. No, I guess it wasn't. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Forget it.
Calm down. Calm down. You see, it is the mind expressing and sharing the experiences. Behind the mind, consciousness is one. I may not be able to express, but the consciousness is one. That is what I am. Has to be understood. How are you, Ashok?
Thank you, sir. Flow for the nostrils was equal and good, and I have no question for anything.
No question. Flow of the nostril was good. Okay, good. Very good. So one pointer is there that you don't have any resistance. That's why you don't want to say anything. So it is obviously showing the positive aspect of it. How are you, Vaibhav?
Thank you, sir. Sir, I'm good. A lot of thoughts were going in the mind, in the practice. Was at the back. For a fraction of seconds, we were going into sleep also. But my awareness was intact, so I can see that this is happening. This is separated from me. I can come back. So that way, this was very peaceful.
Yes, beautiful. As we are going to change the steps of this practice gradually, you will be able to recognize when you fall into sleep, unconsciousness, or a sense of forgetfulness when you are able to return. And that we can explore in the meditation also. So that we are going to, I'm going to change it slowly. How are you, Sangeeta?
सर बहुत अच्छा था, बहुत पीसफुल था। और सर कई बार दिन में ही अपने आप मन से चलता रहता है।
Yes, that is very good.
ठीक है।
What she is saying that during the day her mind repeats the mantra Om Shanti. So that's really good. So when it repeats the mantra, just become aware, oh mind, now you are doing something good. Otherwise the mind has a different mantras. What are the other mantras? Oh, that guy is crazy, he insulted me, and that guy is this, and my honey did this, I don't love. And it constantly accumulates those impressions, and ultimately it results into a problem. So it's better to do Om Shanti rather than rather than any other mantra. So I know Dennis is attending both the sessions. He's also translating on Tuesday sessions. So I teach totally in that group. I teach totally a different thing based on the group, and here it is definitely totally a different thing. So Dennis might be understanding this. He will share those experiences with his friends before. So yes, last point is that any time. So what I'm saying, Bhaj Govindam, simply, and then you start giving an interpretation of the Bhaj Govindam this week while doing the practice regularly, and let us move into the next session with higher level of awareness altogether. That is all for today. Thank you, my friends.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
Namaste.